it is a bit surprising that the reaction has been this great, this fast.
Yeah.
I wanted to distinguish myself, as you know, in terms of my message, and I think that came through on debate night. But I got to tell you, to answer your question, I am surprised that it has, quote-unquote, taken off this fast. And when I stop and think about, well, why is that? I believe that what I'm saying, and I have had people say this, I'm saying what a lot of people are feeling. I am proposing common sense solutions that a lot of people have been saying for years. What are we waiting for? This is not rocket science in terms of what we need to do. And the other strength that I think I have is that political correctness is not one of my strengths.
No. Your strength is what your strength isn't, and that is, political correctness. And could you tell me, what is this nonsense about a master's degree in computer science from Purdue?
Well, Neil, I hate to burst your bubble, but it is true. In 1971, I took an interlude from my job with the Department of the Navy. With the Department of the Navy, I wasn't in the Navy, I was a civil servant, went to Purdue University for a 12-month intensive, get it all done in 12 months or you don't get your degree program. I had taken 2 classes and 6 hours of credit at American University, with a remotely near Washington, D.C., because I was just south of D.C. And so for 12 months, I went through a very intensive computer science program at Purdue University and earned my master's degree in computer science.
And if you'd have gone to work for Bill Gates back then, you'd be a billionaire now.
See, he didn't call me. See,
you can't wait for them to call you.
If he had called me, I would have gone to work for him, and I would have been a billionaire. And then maybe I wouldn't have. Then who knows what this would have done? But no, I do have a degree in computer science. Now, that being said, you know that technology has changed so much.
Oh yeah.
But what this does is that technical stuff doesn't scare me. Quantitative stuff doesn't make me uncomfortable because of my degree in mathematics and the computer science, and I've had to deal with complicated issues. Some people want to poo-poo the idea that I was head of a small pizza company, Godfather's Pizza. Well, you know what? They need to look further than that, like you have, and see, wait a minute, this guy has some technical metal under his belt as well.
Well, I mean,
if they were to look and
what
see.
Was Barack Obama ever the head of? Now, I could come up with some really, really insensitive answers to that.
I was just in an interview with someone before I called in, and they asked, how would you contrast or compare yourself with Barack Obama? I said, number one, I have run something. Number two, I have fixed stuff. Number three, I have a record of being a problem solver. I said, number four, do I need to go any further? It's not about how many offices you have held. It's, well, what have you done? Have you fixed anything?
Well, now, Herman, you're a Georgia product at this. Where were you born?
I was born in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
But I like to always say I'm a native of Georgia, native of Atlanta. And here's why, Neil.
Yeah.
Some people in the press will start giving Tennessee credit for me. I left there at age 2 with my parents.
Yeah, I left Pennsylvania at age 30 days.
Right. And so I'm not a Tennessean. I respect the people in Tennessee. I'm a Georgian. That's where my roots are. That's where I was raised. But I was born in Tennessee, but raised here in Georgia from the age of 2 on all the way through college.
Now we have somebody announcing today, actually jumping the gun on you for an actual announcement.
Yes.
That's Newt Gingrich. Now, let's forget about contrasting you with Barack Obama. Contrast yourself with Newt Gingrich.
Number one, I have the greatest amount of respect for Newt Gingrich, and there is no doubt that in terms of knowledge of the issues and depth of knowledge of all of the issues because of his experience, nobody can even touch Newt Gingrich. Nobody.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I admit that. Now, relative to being able to mobilize and empower the public behind some common sense, simple ideas, I believe that I have an advantage there. And number three, my business experience and business acumen, I believe I can go toe-to-toe with Newt on what we need to do in order to stimulate this economy. But there is no doubt that he is the most knowledgeable person in terms of depth because of all of his experiences.
Now, in this article in the American Thinker, it says Herman Cain knows he's a strong black man from the South, self-made, unafraid of anyone, unafraid to say directly to Obama's face what needs to be said. He knows from real racism and segregation, and I love this line, not some intellectualized rage formulated in the soft environs of the Ivy League.
Yes.
Okay, Herman, we're about the same age, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I think you got me by a month or two. Okay?
Yeah, maybe by a month or two. And but what of because you're going to be called an Uncle Tom. You're going to be called every racial name in the book. You'll even be called a racist.
Yes.
What about your experiences with Jim Crow, with bigotry, prejudice, racism in the South?
Two answers to that. First of all, in the words of my grandfather in his vernacular, my grandfather was a small farmer in Douglasville, Georgia, as a matter of fact. And I remember spending time on that farm when I was a kid.
Is that where the potato story came from?
That's where the potato story came. That was the grandfather that drove the wagon on the rough side of the road, man.
I love
in the vernacular of my grandfather, if they call all of the names that they can call me, Neil, I does not care. So they can call me any names that they want to. But now, let's go back to this point. Calling me names is not nearly as hurtful as sitting on a bus and reading that sign up there as a teenager, white seat from front, colored seat from rear. Calling me a name isn't nearly as hurtful as going to the basement of the department store in Atlanta, Georgia, and you got one fountain with a sign on it that says white and another fountain with a sign on it that says colored, and my mom said, now you boys, I was 7, my brother was 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, you boys make sure y'all, because we said, Mom, can we go get some water? And she said, yeah, but y'all make sure y'all drink out of the color fountain. See, Mom didn't want to start any trouble or get us thrown in jail. So when my brother and I went over to the fountain, Neil, being boys, my brother and I looked around, and it wasn't real busy. We didn't see a lot of folk. We didn't see any white people. And so I looked at my brother, and he looked at me, and he said, you go first. And so he took a sip of the white water, the fountain that says white, and then he looked around, and then I looked, and he said, okay, your turn. And then I took a little sip of the water fountain that said white, and then we both went and took a sip of the fountain that said color, and we looked at each other and said, the water tastes the same. What's the big deal? The fact that I grew up in the South, Neil, and
a little civil disobedience there from a young Herman Cain.
I was bold then. The fact that I grew up in the South, in the segregated South, and realized that we have gotten past that, Neil, is why I don't harbor any anger toward this country. Because one of the greatest things about America, even from its founding, is its ability to change. People who want to focus on what was wrong with America are the same ones that are never going to go very far in America.
Now, we might have 2 black candidates running against each other.
Yes.
Herman Cain, Barack Obama. Is there an advantage to actually having tasted the sting of racism and bigotry, which Barack Obama more than likely has not?
I think there is an advantage. But there is an advantage because I've seen both sides. I have worked with people who have had a change of heart, Neil.
Yeah.
Early in my career, as an example, when I was working for the Department of the Navy. The guy who was over 400 people, and I was working on a very special project. I'll never forget this. This guy is still alive today, and I have the greatest amount of respect for him. His first name was Russ. Uh-huh. And when I left the Department of the Navy, and I did an exit interview, he said to me, Herman, I must admit to you, I have never worked with black people, gone to school with black people. You are actually the first black person I've ever had in a direct experience with, and you working in one of these branches that's worked on this project, and you have done a great job. He said, but I'm going to be honest with you. Knowing you has changed my stereotypical perception about what it was like to have black people in this organization or to be around them, because I just didn't have the experience. And he said, I want to thank you for helping to open my eyes. We have the ability to change in this country, Neil, if people stop looking through those color glasses and start looking at people for who they are, and what they bring to the table. That's what makes this nation great, and that's going to be a message that you're going to hear me promoting throughout this campaign and beyond.